everybody. My name is Erica Kaufman. I work for Mattel, as you guys see. I'm going to talk to you guys a lot about how imagination needs inspiration, and a lot about what my job is, which is to develop a content strategy that can help deliver those stories as the foundation for a content marketing strategy. So just a little bit about me, which this is a lot of me up on the stage. I didn't realize it was going to be this big. So I am the director of, as I mentioned, content strategy. What that means is that I drive awareness, customer engagement, affinity, and even eventually product sales, because I do work for a toy company. But really, my goal is to do those things. And when it comes to video specifically, I think about the optimal distribution formats, lengths, channels, the launch cadence, when things roll out, and then who to partner with ultimately. So that's really what my job is in a nutshell, and I work with the the content division within the company. So I actually am separate from our toy marketing division. We do something in partnership with them based on their objectives, but we work separately from the toy team, which is kind of unique and interesting. So before I jump in, I'll share some fun. That's just a little bit of a taste of what my team does. As you can see, it's really fun, and it is absolutely fulfilling, along with my dreams that I have had growing up. So I do feel like I've sort of made it to where I wanted to be, which is great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why play matters. It's going to be very different than I think a lot of things that you guys have seen at this conference, and so I hope you guys will have a little bit of fun along the way with me. But the main ingredient in our recipe and everything that we do is play. Again, we work for a toy company, so that's sort of at the heart of everything we do. So there's some interesting things that I learned when I was putting this together. There are a ton of benefits to play. And by play, I mean play in general. Everything from playing with toys to outdoor play to pretend play, all sorts of different things. So one of the things is bigger brain size and better early development. So in studies, actually playing enhances children's adjustment, language, and social and emotional stability. They grow, they're smarter, faster learning, and have better memory. They're more creative, as you can imagine. They have better communication skills and vocabulary and language. There's greater impulse control and emotional regulation. Greater social competency and more empathy and happier. So if you think about it, when children are learning to cooperate and play with other kids, they're learning fundamental skills as to how to work with other people and be more empathetic and sort of play out real-life stories in the real world. Better health. So when it comes to physical play, outdoor play, yes, I make content that you sit and watch on television or on devices, but we do still encourage outdoor play and want kids to be running around and acting things out. Life lessons. So children tend to make sense of the world around them through stories and play, and so this is how they act it out and learn their life lessons. And finally, better relationships. So when you're playing with other children, you're developing these relationships that you can sort of learn to fulfill in your future. So it's pretty amazing what play can do for children in their developmental cycle. So you guys got to kind of go with me for this one. So really, play is our future, and I'm going to show you how that is. Pretend play specifically, I'm going to focus on that because that really is inspired by the stories that are told and that we develop. These are the sort of core attributes of, or benefits of pretend play. So you have problem-solving skills. A lot of them are related to general play, but these are specific to pretend play. So you have fosters curiosity, nurtures creativity and imagination. It boosts confidence, cultivates empathy, encourages experimentation and open-mindedness, and then refines vocabulary and language skills. So what I found interesting is that when looking at the future, we found that technological advances, the developments, all these developments will transform the way we live, and then the way we work. So jobs of today are going to evolve in the future. Some may go away completely. Some may become automated. Some will actually come to life that actually don't even exist today, and it's fascinating. So our skill sets that we're learning now may not be as relevant in the future. So we have to start thinking about developing education in a whole new way in order to prepare for the skills of the future. And actually, pretend play helps do that. So I know it seems like it's far-fetched, but bear with me, I'll show you. So some of the top 10 job skills that you think about in the future, so 10 years out, 15 years out, actually align really nicely with pretend play. So mental elasticity and complex problem solving, that's sort of come up as the #1 skill set. Actually, even it's been around for a long time as one of the top skill sets as a job skill. And as you can see in pretend play, there are elements of those benefits that you actually need for your future. Next is critical thinking. So when it comes to pretend play, there's the experimentation and open-mindedness and fostering curiosity. So that goes really well with critical thinking. Creativity. Creativity actually was at the bottom of the list of job skill sets that you needed, I think, today. But in 10 to 15 years, that's actually going to be #3. So if you think about it, that's going to be something that not only, but humans can bring that maybe automation and technology can't, which is really amazing. People skills, so as we mentioned, even in just general play, the relationships that you build, the empathy that you gain from play, the experimentation, open-mindedness, all those things are going to come into play and factor in nicely for job skills. Then you have coordinating with others. You have emotional intelligence. You have judgment and decision-making. Service orientation, so being able to anticipate other people's needs. So when you're acting things out in your pretend play, you sort of can improv a little bit, and that can sort of help with some of that service orientation. Negotiation doesn't always work in pretend play or play in general. I know with my own kids, negotiation doesn't always work. Compromise doesn't always happen. And then cognitive flexibility, so being able to multitask. So all of those things, it's actually very interesting, I found, that for our future, play is necessary. So if you've played when you were a kid, and you're teaching your kids to play, or you're playing now, keep doing it, because it's going to be our future. So if pretend play sets up our kids for success in the future, they need inspirations for the stories that they can then act out. It's at the heart of everything we do. So going back to sort of the business side of things a little bit, kids don't fall in love with brands. They fall in love with characters. Beloved brands start with relatable characters who kids can identify with and worlds they want to travel to. Content is about connecting kids to a world of infinite possibilities where they can, for just a little while, be the boy who can fly or the girl who can save the day. Content sparks the imagination, it inspires play, as I've mentioned, it ignites a desire to learn life's lessons in the most unexpected and magical ways. A lesson in friendship, a blueprint in courage, a study in compassion, or triumph, or even heartbreak. Those are the stories and the characters and the worlds that connect with kids and bond them to our brands and make them fall in love forever. That's what I get to do every day. It's incredible, it's amazing, and it's incredibly fulfilling. But we're a toy company. I mean, I've sort of alluded to why that matters, so why does content matter? But again, I want to get down to business. Toys plus content equals big business. The majority of the top 50 toy properties in 2017 were connected to narrative content, and they featured characters from TV or feature films. So the yellow there are all brands that had characters and stories that either people have known or were introduced to, and there were toy lines that did tremendously well in 2017. And even brands that aren't necessarily solely focused on characters, actually their top-selling products had licenses from those characters. So for example, for us, for Mattel, we have a brand called Imagine X for preschoolers, but our top-selling toy in Imagine X line was Batman-related. So it's all connected to characters and stories. For us, what we found is that 56% of kids' toys features characters. So the majority of toys are about characters. And what we mean by that is that they're named characters, they have narrative backstories, you learn them from TVs, movies, or even books. It may seem obvious, but there's actually a lot of toys that don't, and we even have one, and we have some of them. We have Hot Wheels, there's construction out there. I know that Lego's done a phenomenal job of creating stories out of bricks, but not all of them do. Slime, kinetic sand, fidget spinners, all those fads. There's no stories necessarily behind them. So if you think about it, the majority of the toys out there actually do need story behind them. And so then we look at where kids are learning about these characters. Mostly television. So I know that could be surprising for a lot of people. Digital is still growing, and it could eventually take over. And by TV, I mean more linear. And it could be consumed on various devices, but it's linear, episodic narratives. Movies are second. And then YouTube, which is growing in popularity, especially as kids age up, more of their time is spent on YouTube. And then after that, it gets into experiential or commercial or word of mouth or other devices such as probably publishing and so on. So it's really interesting to see. And so I wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into those platforms. So we'll start with TV. Nearly half of the top 50 toy properties of 2017 have related TV series as part of their content mix. So this isn't all 50, but this is the 50 that have related content or stories that go along with it. It's quite impressive. And then for feature films, over half of the top 25 films of 2017 had toy lines. So you have Star Wars, Beauty and the Beast, so Disney princesses. You have Wonder Woman and the DC superhero Justice League. You have Guardians of the Galaxy. You have Spider-Man Homecoming, Marvel, all of those, as we mentioned before, Disney. Disney does a tremendous job of that. Now YouTube. So short form is still really relevant, and it does play a critical role. Nearly 1 in 5 kids discovered their favorite character from YouTube. And then if you look at some of the top formats on YouTube, many of them are thanks to user-generated content. Now the interesting thing about user-generated content is that most of it is inspired by characters and stories. So this is how kids are learning about the characters, and sometimes they're learning about them first on YouTube. So we've established that the strength of content is in storytelling and character. And we've actually found that brains are actually wired to follow narrative in order to make sense of the world, and kids need that in order to help develop, again, as we mentioned, the developmental benefits. So stories provide a powerful way of understanding their place in the world. And this is why it's essential to cultivate and nurture storytellers and stories, both internally within our company, which we do, and externally. We work with a lot of partners externally, including influencers, in order to develop this content so that kids can learn about our characters. So we embrace UGC. We love it, we appreciate it, and we want to help give them the tools with our stories and characters in order to help tell and extend our brands. But content is more than just for kids. It bonds and connects families, as you can see, and it fuels fandom. It's really for all ages. Never ends. So really quickly, I'm just going to wrap things up by getting back to business. A thoughtful content strategy should be a powerful lever in your marketing mix. It's the catalyst, as I mentioned, that sparks a relationship with long-loved evergreen brands, inspiring the affinity that transcends a singular item or category and becomes a part of the consumer's lifestyle, childhood fabric, most fond memories, and serves as inspiration for that so important play. It can deepen engagement, so it may not actually have a story, but there could be some really fun characters, and content can help deepen the engagement for those product lines. It can educate consumers. And it can also generate goodwill or a halo effect. So here's just some examples of things that Mattel has done in order to generate goodwill. There's Barbie's Imagine the Possibility campaign, Hot Wheels Challenge Accepted campaign, and then we did a Film by You campaign for Fisher-Price. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Content is a few things. It can be tactic in your marketing campaign. It can be the secret weapon. It can elegantly transform a passive observer into a rabid fan and passionate fan, pulling them through the entire sort of marketing and product purchase funnel. It can become a monetizable product in and of itself. So you create content, and then you distribute it and sell it, like we have for Thomas and Friends for years. It's the cherry on top of everything within your marketing mix. You've got social, you've got gaming, you've got influencers, and you've got content as well, which is all part of that mix. Or it can be the entire thing. So your entire marketing could be around content. So really, I just wanted to share that content for us, it helps us inspire wonder in the next generation to shape a brighter tomorrow. And then I just wanted to wrap up with some examples of imagination in action, or inspired imagination in action. And just in case you guys were wondering, these are my children. They do love their superheroes. They love to play dress up. They love pretend play. So I really hope they'll be set up for success by the time they're ready to hit the job market. And that's all I have. Thank you.